We're halfway through part 1 of perception. High five. We're cruising. This chapter is on practicing objectivity. And if there's one aspect of Stoicism that has helped me and my business partner Dave the most, it's probably this. We have practiced and practiced this, and it has made such a difference. And the concept is to look at things neutrally with an objective observing eye. For example, the statement Holiday talks about in this section, "This happened to me and it's bad," is two separate thoughts entirely. This happened is completely objective. It's bad is subjective. And he uses a really cool example of this like 16th century samurai swordsman named Miyamoto Musashi. And he wrote a book and talked about how he was able to defeat these amazing opponents of his, sometimes even without a sword. And he talked about his secret sauce was identifying the difference between the observing eye and the perceiving eye. And really what we're talking about is objectivity versus the subjective side. So the observing eye is completely neutral, and it is just seeing things as they are and as they come. The perceiving eye is kind of like the lens that we've talked about. It's where all of the judgments, the beliefs, where we label things as it should be this way or it should be that way. And especially in a sword fight, that's not as useful when you got a sword coming at your face. You need to be very, very objective in that moment. So being able to separate those things and realize that, especially in the eternal perspective of things, most events are actually neutral. We may obviously be experiencing pain, heartbreak of a certain thing, only to find out that 10, 20 years later, looking back, that was one of the best things that ever happened to us. Or maybe not. The point is not trying to put like the rose-colored lenses on and call everything good even when it's bad and practice this kind of optimism that isn't realistic. That's not the point. It's not to see good in the bad. It's to see things as neither good or bad. That they're just things. Events are just events. And that when we rush to call them good or bad, that we're getting stuck in a very non-helpful place. It may seem a little bit harder to do than to just say like this, but one of the things that it suggests in this chapter, which I think is very helpful, and we've actually put this to practice literally in this same way, is take whatever's happening to you, even right now in your life. What's the toughest thing that's happening to you? Remove yourself from that situation and phrase it as if it's not happening to you, as if it's just a human being somewhere that you've got no connection to, that's experiencing something similar to you, but without all of the personal attachments. My friend is lying to me. Say, okay, there is this guy who has a friend and he's under the impression that he's being dishonest. All of a sudden, the answer as far as what that person should do is way more clear than when you're trying to filter it through your own lens, your own beliefs, your own judgments, all of the drama that you got packed into the situation. That's all part of the perceiving eye that Musashi is talking about. That's not helpful in the decision-making process of the sword fight. So being able to remove yourself, see it completely neutrally, and then being able to be like, okay, well, what's the next step? That is the practice here when we're trying to practice objectivity. Remove yourself, remove the judgments, remove the beliefs, remove the idea that things are good or bad, and realize that they just are. You know, one of the examples one of our mentors gives is, you know, a lion goes and eats a baby zebra, and we're watching it, and some people might be horrified. And depending on whether you are worried about the baby zebra, you might think that this is a traumatic, awful thing. Maybe you're aware that the lion has got cubs at home that need to be fed, and so you see it as good for the lions. Or maybe you are a photographer, there's capturing the moment, so you see it as exciting. The point is that the event is just an event. And there's just so many different ways that it's perceived based on the lens that it's being seen through and the belief system that it's being run through. But at the end of the day, it's just a thing happening in the world that actually is not positive or negative. And we'll find that even the things that we've got supercharged emotionally can be stripped away and become completely neutral. Who are we to say whether that pans out at the end of the day, at the end of a lifetime, to actually have been a good thing or a bad thing? We actually don't know. Things are neutral. Things aren't good or bad until we make it so with our perception. But practicing that objective eye, practicing stepping back and being objective, is really the best place to make decisions from. It's the best place to be able to see what the next steps are, and it's the best place to practice emotional mastery from. So give it a shot. If it works for you as well as it's worked for us, you'll see a massive shift in the way that you respond to the perceived obstacles that are coming your way.